Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is your brother Kadar of GMS Gulf Coast. I'd like to start by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Quadash. Double honors are given unto the apostle, elders, great millstone, men who have labored and suffered in this truth for over 30 plus years, making their lives and their bodies a living sacrifice. I also like to send a shalom to the hopeful elect, the one-third of the nation of Israel, the speckled birds scattered throughout the four winds of planet Earth, north, south, east, and west, which consist of men, women, and children in that order. I also like to send a shalom to the various GMS camps, elders, and heads. And last but not least, I'd like to send a shalom to all you Akim, not named GMS, but walking one body, one spirit in Yahweh Shai, preaching and teaching this 100% truth. As taught to us all by the apostle, elders, great millstone, to you all, shalom, shalom. The water, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, for waking us up in these latter days. To the truth of all things, the water, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. We're just going to continue from last night, last night video, the continued downfall of society, as a whole, worldwide, not just here in Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America. It's worldwide, And knowing that we're in those times of these last few seconds of this man's kingdom, this so-called white man's kingdom, we should repent, you so-called blacks, Latinos, Native, and Seminole Americans. You know what I'm talking about? It's going to be the same old. Until the Lord take his servants, the prophets, off the streets, until the word of the Lord is preached no more. The truth, the gospel is preached no more. The prophecies will be preached no more. This will be the end all be all. Lord willing, we are those men, beginning with the apostle elders, on down to brothers such as myself. Now, having said that, we're going to let Democracy Now! Play again. And this is October the 4th, 2022. Just laying backing off for October the 3rd, 2022. And it's the same old song that's been played in planet Earth, on the left-hand side. Destruction, destruction, and more destruction. The destruction will not end until the end has been put to the destruction.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has formally ruled out direct peace talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin after the Kremlin declared it had annexed 4 Ukrainian territories seized by Russia's military.
And now Ukraine does not want to talk to Vladimir Putin. There's been a successful hit on the Nord Stream pipe that goes in the Caspian Sea over there in that part of the world, owned by the Russians, supplying natural resources to Europe, for the most part. The blame game is full effect. You had the United States, Secretary of State, claiming that this is a tremendous and a good opportunity to pump the brakes on Vladimir Putin and his regime, and it would also strengthen the efforts of the United States of the West putting sanctions on Russia. Now we know all this is not going to play out in the favor of the U.S. or the West. It's just not. It's just not going to. This is prophecy being enacted out in front of us, in front of all of us. But nevertheless, it makes for good theatrics. We're watching the Lord do His work. Let's keep going.
Earlier today, Zelensky signed a decree stating talks with Putin over Ukraine's fate would be, quote, impossible, adding, quote, we're ready for a dialogue with Russia, but with another president of Russia, unquote. This comes as Ukraine's military continues to claim battlefield victories. In the east, Ukraine's military is advancing toward the Russian-held Luhansk region after its troops recaptured the city of Liman on Saturday. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces reportedly retook territory along the Dnieper River in the south on Monday. In Afghanistan, the death toll in last week's attack on an educational center in Kabul has risen to 53, with more than 110 people injured. Most of the victims were young women and girls. On Friday, a suicide bomber struck inside the building as hundreds of students studied for a university entrance exam. It was the latest attack on the minority Hazara community, which has repeatedly been targeted by the ISIS-K militant group. Over the weekend, Afghan women took to the streets of Kabul and other cities to protest the killing. In response, Taliban soldiers fired warning shots over the protesters' heads, smashed some of their cell phones, beat them, cursed at them, and forced them to disperse. This is Asia Askari, the older sister of Al-Banin, one of the students killed in Friday's bomb attack.
We are really worried. It's hard for us. All the schools are closed to girls. In the educational center, an unfortunate incident happened. Not only was Al-Banin martyred, but also Samira, Zara, and the security guard named Tahir, who are all like members of our family and served to protect us in the educational center. It is a very painful scene, but we will continue with the lessons and we will never give up or stop.
Iran's Supreme Court leader has made his first public comments about the death of Mahsa Amini, the 22-year-old Iranian Kurdish woman who died after she was detained by Iran's so-called morality police for allegedly wearing her headscarf improperly. Speaking to military cadets at a graduation ceremony in Tehran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei on Monday labeled nationwide protests that have broken out over Amini's killing as riots. He blamed the United States and Israel for organizing them.
I say this clearly, that these riots and insecurities were designed by America and the usurping and fake Zionist regime. They have sat down and planned this. They have planned this. And those who take their salaries, some being traitorous Iranians abroad, have helped them.
On Monday, President Biden...
Much finger pointing towards the U.S. and Israel, all the Israelis, and not Israel.
Said he was gravely concerned about the intensifying violent crackdown on peaceful protesters, while promising to impose further costs on Iran. On Monday, Canada announced new sanctions against senior Iranian officials, while Germany and other European countries submitted more than a dozen proposals for the new European Union sanctions on Iran. Mass protests in Haiti are continuing for a seventh week to demand the resignation of
this, and those who take their salaries, some being traitorous Iranians abroad, have helped them.
On Monday, President Biden said he was gravely concerned about the intensifying violent crackdown on peaceful protesters, while promising to impose further costs on Iran. On Monday, Canada announced new sanctions against senior Iranian officials, while Germany and other European countries submitted more than a dozen proposals for the new European Union sanctions.
Yeah, well, you know what? How long you think this is going to last, you know? Anything that is being done that's contrary to this whole America, a.k.a. America, Babylon the Great. Anything that's contrary to what they're trying to push worldwide, you know, they go slap sanctions. They put handcuffs on the world leaders, you know what I'm talking about? They freeze their bank accounts and whatnot. It's the same thing they do to criminals over here in the U.S., you know what I'm talking about? They seize your belongings. You get caught, drug trafficking, drug dealing, anything to deal with drugs. They take all your assets, you know what I'm talking about? Freeze your accounts, you know, take your cars, your homes, your properties, you know what I'm talking about? And this is similar. I mean, they use the same playbook across the board. And when I say them, I'm talking about the world leaders that are ingredients with America, or these Edomite leaders for the most part, you know what I'm talking about? And they the only ones that are never demonized. You know what I'm talking about? You see that? You see how this works, this plays itself out? Everybody is wrong except for the U.S. and her friends. You know what I'm talking about? And this has been the case the whole while America has been deemed a country, going back to the late 1700s. This place has never taken responsibility for none of the anguish, the the ill will, the evil that it has spread throughout planet Earth, have taken no responsibility. They always got some type of law or explanation or some type of demonization list, access of evil, you know what I'm talking about, to cover the wickedness that they perpetrate throughout planet Earth. They're never at fault for anything. And these dumbass American citizens, these damn walking dead, over here, they just go right along with the program, while this government passes out stimulus checks like goddamn lollipops. Just keep the people pacified and, and proud to be an American. Now, just how long you think this is going to last? Ask yourself.
On Iran. Mass protests in Haiti are continuing for a seventh week to demand the resignation of the U.S.-backed Prime Minister Ariel Henry and to condemn rising fuel prices.
The U.S.-backed politician over there in Haiti, the uprising of the people. And the Haitians, they go back to the tribe of Levi. You understand? They go back to the tribe of Levi. These are Israelites uprising, having an uprising about the U.S.-backed politician that's been put in office over there. You follow? This is the sentiment across planet Earth right now, every day. This is what you wake up to, day in and day out. And this is not going to get any better. These people are pushing an agenda to where everything, the top 1% of the 1% will own everything. What's that saying they had? You will own nothing and be happy. Somewhere in them sentences, somewhere along that line. And they will stop at nothing to achieve what they're trying to do. They will stop at absolutely nothing. And the sad part about it is you don't have the power to stop them. Our power lies in the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. The only ones can stop this red knuckle dragging devil from doing what he's doing. They're gonna take everything, social credit scores and all these things that these people are pushing for the end of society as you know it. They've already pushed out for the most part the majority of the mom and pop shops, the so-called middle class. They've ruined that. All but demolished them. Giving out these damn business loans and whatnot, certain businesses and 501c3 charters and whatnot. They own everything and everyone, for the most part. For the most part, because the elect they would never own. And the only people they shall not own, shall not and will not own. But it's evident what's being done, it's just keep creating more and more chaos on planet Earth and then come with the solution. Order out of chaos. Problem, reaction, solution. But there's a kink and there's a roadblock in the plan of the elites. The Lord is going to bring the solution.
We are in the streets to say that we cannot breathe because of the high cost of living. Today we are in the streets to say that we want our dollars. Today we are in the streets to say that we do not accept the increase in price of fuel because fuel is a significant product. If we add 1 cent to its cost, then the price of all products will triple or increase 5-fold. As long as Prime Minister Ariel Henry does not give up power, we will continue to fight.
The ongoing protests in Haiti have shut down many parts of the country. Meanwhile, Haitian authorities have announced 8 people have died from cholera, the first cholera deaths in Haiti in 3 years. A cholera outbreak over a decade ago killed over 10,000 people in Haiti. In Somalia, at least 20 people were killed Monday in a pair of car bomb attacks. The militant group Al-Shabaab took responsibility, claiming the attack in the central city of Beledweyne killed Somali government officials and soldiers. The violence came after the U.S. military said it killed the leader of Al-Shabaab in an airstrike Saturday. U.S. Africa Command says its initial assessment showed Abdullahi Nadir was killed while no civilians were injured in the strike 230 miles southwest of the capital, Mogadishu. This comes after the Pentagon claimed in an annual report published last week, U.S. forces killed only 12 non-combatants in 2021. The War Monitoring Group Air Wars accused the Pentagon of vastly undercounting civilian deaths, noting it documented up to 25 civilians killed by the U.S. last year in Syria alone. In the occupied West Bank, Israeli soldiers shot and killed 2 Palestinians and injured a third Monday as they drove their car near a checkpoint outside the city of Ramallah. Israel's military accused the young men of plotting to carry out a car ramming attack. The families of the men dispute Israel's account, saying the soldiers opened fire on their vehicle and killed them in cold blood. This comes as the EU-Israel Association Council is holding its first meeting in a decade today. Ahead of the talks, Amnesty International said in a statement, quote, Israel's committing the crime of apartheid against Palestinians. This is a crime against humanity, requiring the EU to hold Israel's leaders to account and to ensure it in no way supports their apartheid system. Any cooperation must focus on dismantling Israel's cruel system of oppression and domination, Amnesty said. Meanwhile, Palestinian leaders are condemning a proposal by Britain's new Prime Minister Liz Truss to move the United Kingdom's embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. So far, the U.S. is virtually alone among nations in recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital after then-President Trump relocated the U.S. embassy there in 2018. Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Shtayyeh spoke from Ramallah Monday.
Any change in the status quo in Jerusalem would undermine the two-state solution and will be considered a tacit recognition of the city's annexation to Israel, which will encourage the occupying state and the settlers' radical groups to continue their aggression towards our people and toward the Islamic and Christian holy sites in Jerusalem.
Japan's government has condemned North Korea's military after it test-fired a ballistic missile over the Japanese island of Hokkaido, triggering an emergency alert for 5 million residents, who the missile reportedly flew for nearly 3,000 miles before crashing into the Pacific far to the east of Japan, which would make it North Korea's longest test flight of a missile to date. This comes after Japan and South Korea joined trilateral U.S.-led naval war games last week in the waters off the Korean Peninsula. President Biden visited Puerto Rico Monday, where he pledged U.S. disaster relief 2 weeks after Hurricane Fiona collapsed the island's electrical grid with high winds, storm surge, and heavy flooding. Speaking from the port of Ponce on Puerto Rico's southern coast, Biden pledged to send every single dollar promised to Puerto Rico by the federal government.
We know that the climate crisis and more extreme weather are going to continue to hit this island and hit the United States overall. And as we rebuild, we have to ensure that we build it to last. We're particularly focused on the power grid.
Biden pledged $60 million in additional funding to shore up Puerto Rico's levees, fortify flood walls, and create a new flood warning system. His pledge came as FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell said the cost of repairing Puerto Rico's electrical grid would require billions of dollars. Tomorrow, Biden tours parts of Florida devastated by Hurricane Ian. The storm's death toll has topped 100, with search and rescue crews on warning they're likely to uncover more bodies in hard-hit parts of Florida's Gulf Coast in the coming days. The University of Idaho has warned its employees not to discuss contraception with students or to provide reproductive health counseling at the risk of being fired and charged with a felony. Since the Supreme Court's ruling in June that overturned federal abortion rights under Roe v. Wade, Idaho has seen nearly all abortions outlawed under a so-called trigger law passed in 2019. Last week, the university's general counsel wrote in an email to faculty and staff, officials will also enforce a law dating back to 1867, when Idaho was a territory, making it a crime to advertise abortion services and birth control.
Universities. It's lucky. Anyway, let's go to some few precepts. Let's see. Psalms 20. And Isaiah 54, I believe. This is Isaiah 54 and 15, and it reads, "Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against thee shall fall for thy sake." And if you're gathering together and doing what you're doing to defeat the children of the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, the sons of Israel, ultimately, all of these nations are going to fail. Because believe it or not, this is what this is all about. They playing these war games with one another as though, which they do have genuine gripes with one another, don't get me wrong, but truth of the matter is, going back to Psalms 83, their whole thing is to keep us from acknowledging our power. "Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord Yahweh, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord Yahweh." Now, when it says that no weapon shall form, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, that's going into the 1/3 of the nation of Israel. I know you church people like to say them type of things, you know what I'm talking about? No weapon formed, no, but that's going into the elective nation of Israel. 2/3 of our people going to die. Now, and I brung out this verse right here, but behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals, because ultimately the Lord is behind all this. That's all. This is just giving proof. He created the flesh, the mind, the vision to even come up with these weapons. You know what I'm talking about? He created the waster, the so-called white boy. He's created them. Let me get that in the NIV. Let me get NIV of the English Standard Version. Let's see. NIV. Let's see what they say in the NIV. Same setup, Let's see what it says over here. Because what these different books, they'd like to go into the breakdown, They like to go ahead and break it down. Now let's start. It says, verse 15, "If anyone does attack you, it will not be my doing. Whosoever attacks you will surrender to you." It says, "See, it is I who created the blacksmith, who fans the coals into flame and forge a weapon fit for its work. And it is I who have created the destroyer to work havoc." It is the Lord who has created this knuckle dragon cave maggot. He created the destroyer to work havoc, to wreak havoc on planet Earth. Yeah. And let's see if that is the case. I think it's Psalms. Let's go and see. Is it Psalms? Let's see real quick. Let's see what King David said about that. I think it's 17:13. Let's see. This is Psalm 17 and 13, and it reads, Arise, O Lord, Yahweh, disappoint him. Cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. So, that's in the wicked is going into this destroyer to create havoc. This so-called white boy. You can go all the way back to ancient Rome, you know what I'm saying? With these same clowns, talking about, which these white folks of the day, so-called white boys of the day, are descendants of these same clowns going back into the ancient Rome. From Julius to Tiberius to Caligula to Nero to Vespasian, Galba, Otto, you know what I'm saying? Claudius, these them same clowns wreaking havoc on planet Earth. Just like King David said in Psalm 17 and 13, it says, Arise, O Lord, Yahweh, disappoint him. The him is this white boy. Cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked. Who is the wicked? Pursuant to Michael, Michael 1 and 4, which is thy sword. Now, let's, real quick. Okay. Let's see. It says Malachi 1 and verse 1 and verse 1. It says, the burden of the word of the Lord Yahweh to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, said the Lord Yahweh. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, said the Lord Yahweh? Yet I've loved Jacob, and I've hated Esau, Slakia, and laid his mountain and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. And it says, whereas Edom, said the Lord, we are impoverished, Slakia. Whereas saith Edom, we are impoverished, but will return and build the desolate places. And the desolate places is Europe, which has no resources. You know what I'm talking about? That's why they depending on other Edomites like Russia, United States, and others outside of that continent of Europe to supply them with natural resources. That place is desolate. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, pursuant to Psalm 17 and 13. And it says, and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh had indignation forever. Now let's go to Psalms 83, I believe it is. Now, just to prove a point, all of this is really just, in the end, rather, the end all be all is to always keep Israel down. Although there may be discrepancies between the different heathen nations, you follow what I'm saying? But ultimately, if they can keep the people of the Lord in a disarray, in an enchantment, and still, in a sleep-like manner, they can continue to rule the world in wickedness and ultimately to destroy everything. But we know that that's not going to happen, That's not possible because that's not prophesied, And it reads in Psalm 83, it says, keep not thou silent, O power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. And when you say thy people, it's talking about the Lord's people, you Israelites, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. The hidden ones, you've been hidden from your true nationality. You're not no Baptist, you're not no Negro, you're not no African American, you're not no Native American Indian, you're not Puerto Rican, you're not Mexican, you're not none of these proverbs, bywords, Cubans, Venezuelans, and the list goes on and on and on. You're the Lord's people. And your true identity has been hidden by way of all of these cast coverings that they give you, these proverbs and bywords, It says, they have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. So they can, they can drop their little petty differences to keep what's truly important, down on their knees, and that's the nation of Israel. Because they know one thing's certain, that we have the one and true only living power. They know that. And the power's in his name, the name of the Most High Yahweh, and his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. They know that to be a fact. They know that. So, they set aside all their little petty differences just long enough to come together as one, and this everything. They may argue about this and that, they can't get legislation passed on this or legislation passed on that. And when I'm talking about them, I'm talking about these Edomites right over in America. But when it comes to you so-called blacks and Latinos and Native Americans, they can all come together in one consent and yea or nay you. No problem. That's no problem. And they've done this the same way. They've conducted themselves in the same manner throughout our walk on the planet Earth when it comes to these other nations, because they know, they have witnessed, they have seen the power of our power, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They have seen it, and they know that they gotta have to keep that name. They got to keep these people from knowing who they are, all of the above. So every once in a while, they'll take a recess and make sure that they get on board, every last one of them, and make sure that they deny us, truth. They deny us justice. They deny us everything, because that's the only way that they can keep ruling the world in wickedness. It says, they said, to come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance. They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against the tabernacles of Edom, the so-called white man, first and foremost, the spearhead of all of this foolishness, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal and Ammon and Amalek, and the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot Salah. Real quick, let's see what that means. Let's go real quick. Let's see. No, I know I mashed that. Let's see. Translation.
Strong's H, 1905. Hagri.
Let's see. Perhaps people dwelling to the east of Palestine, with whom the tribes of Reuben made war in times of Saul. Hagri, wanderer, father of Metapal, and one of David's mightiest warriors. What the hell? Let's see. Incorrectly, perhaps certain. And he's a member of a certain Arabian clan. Hagari, Arabian, huh? Let's see, Arabian people, with which the tribe beyond Jordan waged figurative here. It says chapter, let's see, Arabian people with which the tribe who lived beyond Jordan waged war. Doubtless, let's see, Arabic. Arabian Gentile district. So you're talking about some Arabic people. You know. Anyway, these people, let me see. Where was I? Let's see. Inhabitants to read. Hoping. See, that's what I wanted right there. Okay, there we go with that. Let's do it again. Let's see. It won't go there. Anyway. Mind you, it just, the point being is that these people ruling planet Earth right now, you know, they're going to have to keep this mess going, you know, and the Lord is putting it in the spirit to do so, you know. This is why we should have all faith, truth and belief in our faith in the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, because we know that it's just like it says in Psalms 21, it says the king's heart is in the hands of the Lord Yahweh. As a river of water, he turneth it whichsoever he will. And it says, but that's the point now. So we knowing that the kings are doing the will of the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. And just like we read in Isaiah 54:16, no weapon formed shall 17 shall prosper against the elect. You know, you're doing what is required of you, and that's not much that you should worry about, Lord willing. You know, the Lord has chosen you to be a part of that number, Lord willing. You know, there's not much to worry about. Only thing you worry about is that the Lord keeps the spirit on you to keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing the righteousness that you're doing. Keep practicing rehearsing the righteous acts. Because everything that we're seeing that's happening on planet Earth right now, it's the will of the Lord. He's bringing this. This is the means to an end. All willing, it was edifying. I want to give all praise and honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Double honors to the apostle elders, great millstone. Shalom.